Hey, Mayor, can you hear me? Okay, I am getting no sound. You're muted. It shows that the chambers are muted.
I'm supposed to be. Okay.
There you go. Hi, welcome.
I apologize, profusely apologize. I'm so sorry. So here I am.
Yay, welcome.
Thank
So we called the meeting to order at 5 p.m. Councilmember Edge just did the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are ready for a roll call, please.
Thank you. Okay, so again, I apologize. I had something come up, so let me get my notes all going on here. I have to write these out again. So Councilmember Edge? Here. Councilmember Freeman?
Here.
Mayor Jordan?
Here,
And I do not see Vice Mayor present or Councilmember Friels.
correct. They are both excused absence.
Duly noted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I am going to hold public comments until agenda items come up, as they are only for items that are on the agenda. Consent items, all matters listed under the consent agenda may be enacted by one motion authorizing actions indicated for those items so designated. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless requested by a member of the city council, a staff member, or a citizen. Councilmember Edge, do you wish to pull anything? Nothing. Councilmember Freeman?
No.
Thank you. I have nothing to pull. Anybody in Zoom land wishing to pull an item on the consent agenda?
If there is anyone on Zoom that wishes to pull an item, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. And then you will be brought into the meeting to request which item it is that you wish to pull. Now is the time to raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. There are no hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Anyone in chambers wishing to pull an item? Nothing here. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you very much. A second. Councilmember Freeman and Councilmember Edge, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan,
Yes,
motion passes unanimously.
thank you very much. Public hearing, continue a public hearing from the November 15th, 2022 regular meeting to hear and consider objections to the proposed abatement of the public nuisance at 451 San Juan Hollister Road in San Juan Bautista. This is continued because of timing of postings. Attorney Rathie or City Manager Reynolds?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is correct. This hearing was opened on the November 15th agenda and was continued to allow the full publication date to run in the Hollister freelance, which we're required to do by the city municipal code. So tonight, if anybody wants to make comments on the matter of the proposed abatement of public nuisance at 451 San Juan Hollister Road, this would be the time to do so. At that point, after we've heard from any members of the public who wish to make comments, it would be appropriate then to close the public hearing and consider a motion that would either allow or overrule the objections raised. There was one objection by Mr. Orozco, which was raised on the 15th, and I summarized that in the draft resolution. So any members of the public who wish to comment further on that, this would be the time for that comment.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody in Zoom land?
That wants to speak on this matter? If anyone on Zoom would like to speak on this, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. You'll be brought in, and once you unmute yourself, your timer will start. Now is the time to raise your hand if you would like to speak on this public hearing item. We have no hands raised, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody in chambers who would wish to speak on this item? Please state your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Check on the back side. There's a white button. Sorry for not having that visibility. And then press the big button and look for a green.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
And the
Okay,
whole entire time closely to it.
okay. My name is Maria Orozco. Good evening, council members and managers. I'm the owner of 451 San Juan Hollister Road. And I am here to object to the nuisance declaration. We had a violation in March. We were given no ability to abate or even try to fix the violation on our own. City took for full lead to do it on their own and perform studies that I agreed to, and but yet still never received the invoice or the study. And not until the property was declared a nuisance is where I was allowed to actually start abating on my own. We have already hired a civil engineer, Cali Engineering, to start the procedure of doing a development application to be able to abate. We have also hired a biologist and an archaeologist to do the studies that are required by the city to do the abatement. And that's EMC company or consultants. I believe the city has used their services before. They seem to be very reliable and professional. So we have already hired them. We've already given them a retainer and they have already started. They have an estimated time that it's going to be 4 to 12 weeks before they're able to do certain things. I have a timeline also of what our engineer is time frame to do is starting to start with the stabilization plan, which is requested by the city due to the rains that are coming in. And so he's working on that. It seems like he may have it or he's in the week of this week. So we probably would be submitted by the end of this week for the stabilization. And we would continue from there to do all the other studies that we need. I
You have
believe,
45 seconds remaining.
Attorney Bob and city manager, assistant manager Brian has the outline of how we are proceeding to abate. So we are working on it as quickly as possible now that we have the opportunity to do it on our own. So I do would like to request that you guys don't complete the nuisance on our property. So we barely had the chance to actually fix whatever problems there. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak on this? There are no further comments. Councilmember Edge, questions, comments, concerns?
I actually don't have anything.
Thank you. Councilmember Freeman.
I also have no questions at the present time.
At this time, it'd probably be appropriate to go ahead and close the public hearing.
Public hearing is now closed.
So we have two statements both by Mr. Roscoe concerning the.
We cannot hear the attorney.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes,
you have to
thank you.
speak directly
I'll
into the
speak closer.
microphone. Thank you.
We have two comments by Mr. Roscoe asking that the action be declined, the action to actually declare the property to be a public nuisance. The declaration of public nuisance was actually made previous. This action tonight, if the objections were overruled by the council, that would empower the city manager to take whatever steps were necessary to ensure that the nuisance was abated. It does not preclude the property owner from going ahead and working with the city and doing these things on her own, as we've heard tonight and also heard on the 15th that they were prepared to do. There were a number of compliance orders issued for this over a period of time, and there may have been some confusion because there's been a lot of communication back and forth, but the property owner essentially has always had the ability to abate the nuisance. It's a learning curve for both parties to learn exactly what needs to be done to abate the nuisance, because none of us are, topographical or hydrological engineers. So the action tonight before the council would be to entertain a motion to either allow the objection, which would mean that the city would not go forward with abating the nuisance itself, or to overrule the objection, which would mean that the city could go forward as necessary to abate the nuisance. As far as the city's cost to do so, would be a separate matter going forward, and also some of the costs to get us to this point would come back before the council after the nuisance has been cured. Would come back before the council, all the city's costs for your review, and the objections to those costs would then be received, and the city could then approve the cost. The property owner would then have the ability at that time to either pay the costs or work out a payment plan for those costs. If the city was not able to recover costs through such an agreement, the city could collect those costs as a special assessment on the property through the tax roll. I think that's an idea of where we are right now and where we might be. Could be.
Okay, just a clarification. If the council overrules the objection and the property is abated, this document just ensures that Ms. Orozco can still complete them on her own, but if there is a failure to complete them, then the city can take over and bill at a later date.
That is exactly correct.
Okay.
Yes, and the municipal code provides that the property owner can abate the nuisance.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you very
it doesn't
much.
deprive her of the ability to do so.
Okay. Thank you. Public comment has been closed. Thank you. Any further comment from staff?
Madam Mayor, I have a question for staff.
Go ahead.
What would be the next concrete, and I use that word kind of both ways, if you know what I mean, action that we would take, not counting invoicing and assessing fines, or not counting paperwork? What would be the next step that we would take to return the property to its, let's say,
Former
correct
self.
state or former state? Yeah.
So our next step would be to accept an application for development permit submitted by the applicant, consisting of all of those pieces of information that we've already requested. Hydrological, archaeological, engineering studies, biological studies that the applicant has indicated that she is currently preparing. So we would accept a development permit application, review it for completeness, and we would perform a CEQA review, California Environmental Quality Act review, and issue the permit with conditions and mitigation measures. If the applicant or the owner doesn't diligently pursue submittal of a development permit application, then we would, as council has indicated, we would step in. We would be the applicants for the development permit and follow the same procedure. So we would issue the development permit ourselves. We would conduct the environmental review ourselves, and then we would apply those costs against the property, as Mr. Rathie has indicated.
Thank you.
So no abatement can occur until the development permit. Okay,
So if I understand correctly, the owner has hired EMC, who we are familiar with, that do good work. And we're allowing her to have time to clear all of this going back and forth, because there has been a lot of it's confusing for me. I mean, having read everything and even just, listening. So the way I see it right now is that we're going to allow her to have time to have all of these reports done, and they're going to be done by EMC, whom we trust. And then they'll come to us, or those reports will come to us, they'll be provided to us. And if everything is done correctly, then the abatement will be completed, or she will,
Yeah, then we'll issue the development permit accordingly. And we will monitor the abatement actions that she will take in accordance with those plans.
and then is there a time limit or a time frame where there a deadline for all of these reports?
Well, we've been given a schedule, which at this point seems reasonable. It's about 6 weeks. If that schedule is adhered to, that's pretty good. If things slip and it starts to take more than 6 weeks, or the applicant deviates from the schedule, and it doesn't appear as though they're diligently pursuing completion of the development permit application, then we would consider taking that next step on the city's behalf.
But if the results are not her fault, do we still go forward?
Well, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, if EMC is for some reason is delayed for some reason,
Well, I mean, we're going to be reasonable, of course. If there's some delay that is beyond the applicant's control, and it's still within a reasonable time frame, then we would be reasonable about that.
thank you.
And overruling this just ensures that this timeline will be adhered to.
Yes, we're looking for performance.
Thank you.
When you say overruling, you mean
Overruling the objection.
overruling the objection? Yes, that is.
Sorry.
What it is, right? Yes, correct.
Okay. So our next step is to either allow the objection or overrule the objection. And in overruling the objection, we are approving a resolution of the city council of the city of San Juan Bautista to declare a public nuisance to exist. Is that my understanding? Is my understanding correct?
That is correct, yeah. And the title basically is to declaring the condition of the property at 451 San Juan Hollister Road to constitute a public nuisance, ordering the abatement of said nuisance by the city manager, protect the citizens of the property from conditions threatening public health, safety, welfare, and assessing the cost of the abatement. Essentially three elements to it. The declaration of public nuisance, empowering the city manager to abate the nuisance, and then subsequently assessing the city's cost of abatement. Again, none of this precludes the city from working with the owner of the property to get this done cooperatively.
One more quick question. Would the EMC report, I'm kind of trying to ask you to predict the future, but would the EMC report include a timeline of or a list in order of preference of physical things to do, such as move the dirt back to where it was and other stuff to abate the nuisance? Basically, would that EMC report contain that list, and would it I'm searching for the right words, would it have the force of law or force of
Yes,
to make them follow it?
yes, it would. The EMC reports, and we've already looked at draft scopes of work. for those two studies referenced by the owner. And we've had some comments on those. I think that it depends on what we get from EMC. If there are a variety of ways that these reports can come in. If they come in with recommendations and conclusions and appropriate schedules for completion of the work and considerations regarding the habitat that needs to be restored, then we would approve those schedules. If they don't contain that level of information or adequate information, then we would contract with a consultant to do further environmental review. And that could change the schedule quite a bit if that happens. So what we're hoping to get from the applicants or from the owners is a scope of work that for each of the studies that we requested, that's very complete. That would enable us to predict with some certainty what the schedule should be based on a particular CEQA status or environmental report. And so we're hoping to get those complete reports. We'll see what's provided. And then we'll act accordingly.
So getting back to the timeline.
That's very vague, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
getting back to the timeline issue again, let's say EMC has a report to you in the city's hands, let's say the last week of January or somewhere around there. How long does the CEQA review take at that point? Is it a 1 month process, a 2 month process, a 3 month process? I've seen CEQA reviews take 2 weeks and 6 months.
Right. Well, there are state agencies involved here. So once we complete the environmental document that's necessary, and I expect that will take 6 weeks to a couple of months, not including the time it takes to get someone on board to do it. That's our own CEQA consultant that we need to hire because we need to be sure that the decisions that we make on the permit reflect our independent judgment. So we'll take the applicant's information, we'll subject those to review through the CEQA process. And so when we complete the document, that will then be subject to a 30-day review. It'll have to go to the state clearinghouse, and that will then be commented on by state agencies. That'll take, as I said, 30 days, and then another 6 weeks for us to review the information, process it, and approve the permit. So I'm guessing that within 6 months, that we'll have an approved permit with a CEQA document attached. If it turns out that we have to do an environmental review that's more extensive, and for example, a focused EIR, then we're talking about more time, 6 to 9 months to complete that document. And then approval of the permit subsequently. So it's a complicated process, but our objective here is to get complete reports from the applicants up front. It's on them to do good work and submit that work to us, and that will facilitate our third-party review. And we'll be able to jump right into the environmental review and the permit process, and hopefully that will take not more than 3 months.
So, hang on, wait a second. Okay.
So it depends on the nature of the environmental document that we have in front of us.
If EMC, let's go back to the last week of January, the last week of January, and they have a report. And meanwhile, their engineering firm has said, if we do this and this and this, and their archaeologist says we do this and this and this, will they be allowed to do this, this, and this during that timeline, or do they wait for the full CEQA to be finished?
They'll have to wait.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. We hope to do mitigated negative declaration. That's the 3 to 4 month time frame. We hope that we get good information and we won't have to do the 6 to 9 month time frame that would be necessary with a focused EIR.
I have 2 questions now. Having EMC as their consultant is not a conflict question.
No, it's not a conflict.
Okay. And then again, going back to if the council overrules the objection and declares the property a public nuisance, all we are doing is ensuring that if at some point in time the property is sold, that all of this will get done. If we don't overrule the objection and don't declare a public nuisance and order abatement, then we're left holding the bag.
Well, what we're left with is the ongoing violation and procedures in the ordinance, without the remedy that if they don't proceed with due diligence, that we're able to step in and resolve this. So we'd be going forward without that tool at our disposal.
Okay.
One more quick question. If it was sold in the middle of the whole process, would the new owner be required to take over the process?
Yes,
And he or she or the corporation would assume all the liabilities, costs
that's correct.
thereof.
Okay. Are we good with questions? Yes. Any further comment from the attorney?
No further comment.
Thank you very much. I will now entertain a motion to overrule the objection and declare the property a public nuisance, ordering the abatement of said nuisance by the city manager to protect citizens and their property from conditions that threaten public health, safety, and welfare, and assessing the cost of the abatement.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Motion made by Council Member Edge, seconded by Council Member Freeman. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan,
Yes.
motion passes unanimous present.
Thank you very much. 5, action item, adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista appointing a certain EDCAC member to the 2023-2028 SEDS Strategy Committee. Sorry to keep you talking.
That's okay. I'll make it quick. As you know, the EDCAC was established by resolution, city council resolution. Part of that consideration involved the anticipation that there would be a comprehensive economic development strategy. And we now have added the SURF programs, which is at the super regional economic development planning level. So anticipating that, the San Benito County Economic Development Corporation received a grant to prepare a new comprehensive economic development strategy. They have looking for and have selected from various entities in San Benito County various people to help with the strategy for that SEDS, to provide information about local conditions and data information to bring back to the corporation for inclusion in the SEDS in the economic development strategy. And so they've asked, EDC has asked the city to provide 2 representatives, one from the city, quote unquote, and one from the EDCAC. And so it's at the discretion of city council regarding who you would like to see serve in that capacity.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments, concerns from the council?
So do we appoint somebody, 2 people?
Yes.
And do we have any applicants?
Well, I think we have some volunteers. And I know we have one in particular. I think Stephanie Correa has indicated some interest in serving on the SEDS strategy committee. There are others, but I think Stephanie has, she's the vice chair of the EDCAC and, knows pretty much what the EDCAC is all about. There will be a shift in EDCAC leadership in 2023. And most likely the vice chair will become the chair. And so that would be Stephanie at that point. And then it would be up to the city council regarding who among you would like to see serve in that capacity. I wouldn't like to serve in that capacity.
You would
I
not.
would not. That's it, not a staff role.
And as having attended those meetings with Brian, I would like to be the other person.
You would like to be the other person.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Brian. Any questions, comments, concerns? I'm sorry, thank you. From Zoom land?
If there's anyone who has joined us tonight that would like to speak on this, please use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. You will be brought into the meeting and your 3-minute timer will start once you unmute yourself. For those that have dialed in, press *9. That will raise your hand. Now is the time to do that. There are no hands raised at this time, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And there is nobody left in chambers, so I will entertain a motion to adopt a resolution of the City Council of the City of San Juan Bautista appointing Stephanie Correa as a EDCAC member and Leslie Jordan as a member of the council to the 2023-2028 SEDS Strategy Committee.
So moved.
Excuse me, as I remember, there was a space for an alternate in there, so I think we need to appoint an alternate.
That would be a good idea, just in case Stephanie can't make a meeting, then someone else could step in.
So would it be somebody from the council or would it be?
It would be another EDCAC member.
I recommend Fran,
Fran Fitz-
yes.
Yes,
That's a good
idea.
choice.
You could ask her first, but if not, I think she'll be.
She's not present, so we just get to
All right, okay.
alternate.
So-
Volunteer her.
Absolutely.
And this strategy committee is going to meet 2 more times.
Yeah, the meeting.
So
Yeah,
it's
there's only 2 more meetings.
it's intense, but not long term.
Perfect. Okay,
So-
with that amendment to add Fran Fitzharris as the alternate.
The alternate to from the EDCAC.
Correct.
Okay. And is there an alternate from council? Was that discussed? It was hard to catch the conversation on Zoom So I'm-
No, just an alternate, one alternate
for the EDC. Oh, to cover both.
to cover both. Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you make that motion?
I did.
Thank you. Did you second that motion?
I will now, I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Edge and seconded by Councilmember Freeman. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
didn't hear. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes,
Mayor Jordan,
Yes,
motion passes unanimously.
thank you very much. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. So moved.
Motion made by Councilmember Edge,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilmember Freeman. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Edge,
Yes.
Councilmember Freeman,
Yes.
Mayor Jordan.
Yes.
Note for the recording, the meeting has ended, adjourned at 5:35 PM.
Thank you. Our next meeting starts at 6 p.m.